Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. These live streams are always fun because everything starts weird in the beginning. The purpose of my content is to help the average individual understand that you can reach financial freedom, make work completely optional in 10 years or less, even if you're not starting from the best position. Today, in this video, I want to start with a truth bomb. Technology is not going to replace landlords, but landlords who use technology are going to replace the ones who don't. Let me say that again in my best. I just opened a manual voice. The tech doesn't take your job. The tech takes the work out of your job. That's what I want the landlords watching this video to think. Think old school versus new school. Let's take the tale of two toilets. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The old school landlord gets the phone call or the text message that says, "We have a leak." They wake up groggy. They look for a flashlight. They try to remember which unit this tenant even lives in. Then they stumble through old text to figure that out. They call plumbers, or they do the worst thing, they Google 24/7 plumbers, like it's septic roulette. The tech landlord, the tenant logs the issue on a portal like Hemlane. It auto routes the repair preference to the plumber that you already have in the system. The landlord wakes up, like me, 10 o'clock in the morning, with a receipt for a $200 service call that was made the nights before. And that's not like a special thing. That's a Tuesday that's happened to me. Who do you think's going to scale faster? The one with all the stress or the one that could sleep till 10 a.m.? What about showing properties? Just dealt with this with a friend. Thanks for your technician who responded to my questions. So the anxiety that comes from this, especially if you're managing remotely, we were traveling. Um, Platforms like Hemlane let you automate listings, multiple websites with one click. Didn't have to put the data in several times. Can schedule showings without emailing back and forth like it's 1997. You could even, we didn't end up in this case, but you can even end up assigning an agent to go and sign leases for you. It's not just tech, it's leverage. What about collecting rents? Like most of us call it that monthly treasure hunt. Ever tried chasing rents with text messages? Hey, this is just a reminder. Any update? Or just plain, hello? Tech says to skip all that. Automate your rent reminders. Late fees triggered by a system, not your emotions. Tenants pay you online. You just get paid. No awkward conversations, no stress, just money showing up like it's supposed to. It's a huge change for me. I am that with a couple of my tenants who aren't on the platform yet. The tech is a force multiplier. Here's the mindset shift I wish I had earlier. I'm not trying to be the best landlord. I'm just not. I'm trying to be the best system designer. And if you add systems to your systems, imagine how much better they get. The goal isn't to be irreplaceable, it's to be replaceable so that it can still be done right, even if you're not handling the day to day. And that brings me to the really key idea for today. Tech isn't our competition. Like house hacking is real estate's cheat code, tech is your cheat code. And I'll end with AI might not take your job. The person using AI will. That's the way I look at AI. And here's how it comes for tech when it comes to being a landlord. Hemlane may not replace you, but the investor using Hemlane just took your deal because their life is simpler, their management is simpler, and their brain isn't fried from tenant emails or texts or that dreaded phone call that you shouldn't be getting. I'm excited today because I have Dana, the CEO of Hemlane, the platform that I'm slowly transitioning my properties onto. She's not here to replace landlords. She's here to empower us with tools that turn your rental business from chaos into cruise control. If you're watching the short video that I released at a later time and you want to see all of the questions that were asked and answered by Dana and I on what was it, Tuesday, May 27th at 4 p.m. Because every Tuesday I do a live stream at 4 p.m. and answer your questions. There will be a link to the longer video in the description below. Stick around. The future of landlording isn't about doing more. It's about doing less of the stuff you hate so you can make more, so you can do more of the stuff that makes you rich. I'll toss that out as a video another day as an intro and a tease to this. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. Normally we'll do a short video together, but this is a live stream and they tend to last a little bit longer.
I love it.
So as far as tech and landlords go, before we dive into any questions that pop up, because I know there's a couple of people that actually asked me to have you on again for these questions. Can you go over like three things maybe where you see tech impacting landlords?
Yes. So I'm going to get to the most exciting one at the end, but let me start with the one with the repair request you had at 2 a.m. I think one of the fascinating things about technology is troubleshooting and problem solving. So every single landlord out there probably only has one or potentially no situation where they have some sort of HVAC unit fail or a toilet backup or whatever it may be. You won't have all the same cases, but technology will bring all of those together and say, what is the best troubleshooting process for this issue at hand to avoid sending out a service professional at 2 a.m. in the morning? Or if I do need to send out someone, what is the best path to go? And I think as a landlord who may be managing one rental property or 20 or maybe 100, you don't have as many cases as tech that has all of them brought together to say, what is the best path for that? And it might even be something such as go to Walmart and buy some heaters. We'll pay you back for them. It's going to be cheaper to get someone out in the morning. And also, by the way, if we send out a technician at 2 a.m., there's no guarantee they're going to fix your heat problem. And now we're caught with a high after hours service call rate, which is like $600, plus the tenant not having their issue fixed. So it's much better to try to do something like that during business hours and say, great, we're going to get you a portable heater for the bedrooms at night. Those cost $30 a pop and we're good to go. So I think that consolidation of technology and online is the first one. The second one that I have to say is also just standard workflow processes. It's really interesting because when I first went into real estate investing, I actually thought it was really easy to manage a property. And it really is if you have a delightful tenant and nothing goes wrong and you haphazardly do things and get lucky. But you have one thing that goes wrong and you really wish you crossed your T's and dotted your I's. And that's where tech will really help. Ensuring that the proration is correct, ensuring that you have these standard lease templates that are going to work. And you can go through a lawyer with those ones as well, but like making sure that everything is the same in the system for you. Ensuring that your rent collection reminders are sent at the right time. Making sure the rent reminders are not considered harassment because they're sending text messages at the wrong time of the day, which, by the way, you can get sued for if you send a message to the tenant at the wrong time. So don't do that. So I think that's where technology really helps, is just kind of streamlining and automating that process. And then the third one, which I'm most excited about, is on the AI side. I think AI is something that is a hot word, and a lot of people use it wrong because I think most companies out there will sell you AI, and really all they're doing is just integrating into ChatGPT. And they're not using their own data. So their LLM is just OpenAI's big large language model. They're not actually creating their own. They're not actually using their own internal data. And it gets you into a lot of trouble because you have fair housing violations. The information may potentially be incorrect. And so what I think about the future of technology really helping is the tech players out there that actually understand AI will be able to say, here's how we're going to implement it, but in a really good way that won't hurt your tenants. And let me give you an example, Dion. Today, repair coordination is not AI. It's a physical human who is talking to your tenants on the phone, going through the troubleshooting, following up. But there's certain things that AI can do. If they're just calling to confirm an appointment and let you know a technician is on the way, perfect. That's a great place for AI. And so I think the exciting thing is technology can help bring and leverage what is out there on the AI side, but bring it to you in a delightful way where you don't have to think about, should I use AI for this or should I use a human, a third party person, or should I do it myself? Great technology out there will distinguish that for you.
Thank you. There are quite a few questions. I want to get to all of them. The hard part with using tech is we want to resist it.
Yeah.
Whenever you find a new website that does something or a new app that does something, learning where things are located, learning how to click through it, the first few you have to train yourself. The people who don't take the time to train themselves. And so when it comes to a new app, it's how is everything located? Is it user friendly or is it not? When it comes to AI, people have to train themselves what questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new form of learning. We in the dinosaur days, when you went to school, life was about memorization and how to find information. We were teaching people how to think. Now we have to teach people how to ask questions.
Yep.
And a lot of landlords don't want to learn. They want to watch a video and think, I can use this system and put it in place. Not, I can take this system. I have to learn how to use this system. Once it's in place, my life will be a lot better. So, howdy, Frank, Ryan, Master Coach. Good to see you here. Master Coach says, because of the thumbnail, over a long enough timeline, we're all doomed. That's actually a Fight Club quote. Have a safe flight, Angel R. Agree with Master Coach, University. Factor Dion theory of time. How many good years do you have left? Exactly. Try bringing it down into weeks sometime. Think the average lifespan and where you're at and how many actual weeks you have left. Life looks a lot different when you do that.
That's that great book, 7,000 Weeks.
Is
Have you,
that what that is called? Nice.
it's the average lifespan of a human.
Oh,
Or
ouch.
4,000 weeks. It's 4,000 weeks. Sorry, not 7,000, four
Okay.
thousand weeks. Average lifespan of a human.
I probably have 15 left, so we're good. Chester says, whenever I see AI, I think virtual assistant with a GED and access to all the world's information.
Mhm.
I think it's different every few months. So somebody who tried it 2 years ago or 6 months ago should at least take a look at it.
It's
I
gotten
asked
so much better.
the other day, I asked ChatGPT, what can I do to get better treatment when AI takes over the world? And there was a really detailed answer. You should ask it that. Memorial Day is a wonderful day to contemplate. I totally agree. Howdy. Julie, property managers can ruin you. I believe one of the reasons I wanted you here today is Julie has asked for you to specifically be here. I think she had a sixplex. It might have been a different number account, but she just fired a property manager and is switching to managing herself. So some of the information today is specifically for Julie. They were wondering why we were late. They thought technology is fighting me. Technology is going to replace YouTubers before technology replaces landlords. That's the weird thing with YouTube. You don't even know if you're looking at a real person on a lot of the channels. It could be a AI scripted,
Oh,
AI
totally.
video.
Yeah. You don't even know, Dion, if I'm a real person right now.
No, that's the benefit of going to the one rental at a time events and the event of BiggerPockets in October and actually seeing people like us in person and realizing it's a real person that you can do the systems they've done with. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be the ultimate litmus test after a few years is, all right, who's the real person? Oh, I got a text from Zuber. That's never good. Oh, he's 8 pages into my book and he loves it. I think I've had my Dionisms for fun chapters at the end. Nice. Cool. I'll have to go into that. I have a ways to go. I've started writing. I've got about there's two sections that I've got the story done, the mindset shifts about 50% done, and then the actionable lessons are about a third of the way done. So I'm probably another 6 months from putting that out. Duplex Dave has a question. Hemline's customer service is the best. Always so helpful when I call, and they have walked me through any issues I've ever had with the software. It's making the management so much easier. I have to say that is very true. That's been
That's
my
great. Thank
experience.
you.
And then Julie, thank you both. Do you two have any advice for property owners to transfer to Hemlane, especially if criminal behavior has been involved? I'll let you start with that. I have a suggestion for transferring to Hemlane, but I'll let you go first.
Criminal behavior, it depends on what it is. So happy to do a consult afterwards. We've dealt with cases of taking over properties where there's been a shooting and there's actually more that needs to be done. So for example, when you look up that apartment complex, all the news is based on the shooting. So no tenant wants to move in and you see your vacancy rates go through the roof and just some sketchy stuff like that, where from an SEO perspective, so search engine optimization perspective, you have to worry. If it's a slightly smaller criminal activity, the question is this a tenant? Is this tenant? Is it a tenant in the property who's authorized to live there? So a tenant or an occupant. If they are, the next question that I have is this going to be something that is going to impact the neighbors because of the quiet enjoyment clauses in all of the lease agreements? So is this going to impact any of the other tenants in the property? And then the second one is this going to impact you financially? So once all of that stuff is answered, there's a really clear path to go. One is towards lease violation, termination of agreement based on them not having quiet enjoyment for neighbors, getting everything documented, preparing for the violation. Or the other one is, hey, we can work with this tenant. It's something that is not going to impact me financially or the other tenants in the property. And so those are two different directions to go on it. And without knowing more information, seeing the lease agreement, it might be slightly challenging to answer that question, but happy to answer it offline as well. But that's kind of the thought process that goes through my head. The next one is over communication, and making sure, like today's May 27th, you wouldn't want to do a transition for June 1st yet, because for tenants, you usually want to do it, 15 days before the first of the month or whenever you're collecting rent, because you want to have open communication. Hey, everything's going forward in the new system starting July 1st, and really getting that communication set up. It's not to say tenants, I have a situation right now, it's 500 units where the tenants just started inputting the requests directly into Hemlane for repairs, even though we said it was a June 1st transition. Totally fine. We just asked the owner agent, like, hey, would you like us to just take over these requests? They said yes. And so we just took those ones on early, even though the rent collection won't be until June 1st. So there's certain things like that where you can maybe go in between systems with it. But the biggest thing is communication and then documentation. So closing out all the repair requests with past PM or in your past system, making sure that all the tenants are set up, they're registered, they understand the rent collection. And then don't forget, the benefit is always to the tenant. So when you tell them, move on over to Hemlane, you're not going to tell them, hey, there's automatic late fees and there's an eviction shield process that serves notices if you don't pay rent. Everything should be about the tenant and the benefits to them. They get tenant perks. So if they want credit bureau reporting, renters rewards, all that kind of stuff, they can opt into that. They get repair coordination if they're going through us, 24/7 repair coordination. So really signal the benefits of them moving over. And hopefully, we want it to be a really streamlined, easy process for them. But that's a little bit. So I spoke your ear off. I know you asked about criminal activity and transitions, but I always think with any system that over communication and just making sure everyone's set up for success is a really good process to have.
So I think there's probably more scenarios, but I think there's three major ways to think of how would I transfer to Hemlane. The first one is a situation like Julie, where you catch your property manager doing some stuff you don't like, maybe even illegal, and you fire them, and all of a sudden you have all of your tenants sitting in your lap, and you've got to go, okay, how do I handle this? Well, it's kind of nice to have a platform to go to standardize it. So when you're having the conversation with your first tenant or your fourth tenant, you're basically repeating the same information. I would probably, Julie, ask for at least if not a Zoom call, a chat with a customer service rep and say, hey, I have to get this down really quick with a bunch of tenants all at once because of my situation. Can I get some help with this to get it set up right? When you transfer the tenants over in your situation, when it's all at once, property manager's gone away, I would myself let them know I'm new to this platform myself. We're going to have to learn this together. Be transparent with it. But just like Dana said, when you're signing a lease with a tenant, like, I don't know, Julie, if you've ever sat and signed a lease, but I've done all of my leases, almost all of my leases in person while signing, at least the first time with the tenants. And we go over most of the things in the lease. I don't generally point out and harp on all of the things that benefit me. I'll point out that the lease is there to protect both of us. I'll talk about if the property is sold, which I don't plan on doing, the lease is between the tenant and the property. So the new owner has to, was it honor the current lease, which protects the tenant for at least the length of the lease. Point out the parts of Hemlane that could help the tenant, that your rent can impact your credit score is a huge thing for the ones that want to pay on time. If you are like my brother, who got rid of his property manager and has only had one tenant turnover since then, he really hasn't gone and changed everything with all of his tenants all at once. He did landlord introduction letter version of, hey, the property manager is no longer in charge. Here's how you pay your rent. Here's how you get a hold of me. Just a letter. His tenant turnovers have been through the Hemlane platform, so that the new tenant comes in and has this. Because my brother's kind of like me. We've got tenants with flip phones that don't have the interwebs in their house. I'm not going to run out to all of the tenants and say, hey, all at once, you've got to learn how an app works or learn how a website works and jump on board with this. So you might have tenants where you just give them a letter and say, hey, you're now dealing with me directly. When you have tenant turnover, that's the ones I'm starting on the platform. And I have some couples that I know are tech savvy just from the conversations I've had with them, and they're on the platform. So instead of thinking I've got to do this all at once, and then the other one is as you're scaling your portfolio, I say this in a lot of videos, treat your properties like you have 100 and your tenants like you have one. If you had 100 properties, wouldn't you want a system in place where all of this is handled through a portal? So many people go, I only have 2 or 4 rentals. I could just do this all myself. Well, you're building systems that take your time. You're going to be less likely to subconsciously want to add more rentals. The sooner you get it onto a platform where it's going through portals and requests for repairs and everything isn't going to text directly to you. You can still be, you're still involved, you're still handling all that stuff. But the easier you make it, the sooner, the more likely you are to want to grow. Howdy from Chattanooga. Howdy. Honey, Dion and Dana. I've used Hemlane for my first duplex investment in Spokane and loving it. Hemlane takes care of all the tenant requests. The UI might benefit from some improvements, but will use again. That was a thought I had the other day, and I probably should have done this offline, but uh, listing and not listing a property on all of the, when I've used Zillow or back in the day, Cozy or whatever, there was a listing section.
Hmm.
In Hemlane, it's called marketing.
Yeah.
And it took 20 minutes for 3 of us to figure that out.
What about if we changed it so listing didn't make sense to a lot of people because they were like, what do you mean listing? Is it like a checklist? When we did some user research on people who weren't even landlords, because we were like, what about if you just like acquire property? We were also thinking of changing it to advertising instead of marketing.
So it's for some reason, I don't know,
Listing.
I would focus group it. For some reason with my brain,
It's
none
listing.
of that says, here's where I list a property. Here's where I
Okay.
turn a property on, or
Yeah.
here's where I archive a property. But there's probably other things on there too, where you know, have, I think it was great to go to people who aren't landlords and go, how would you do this? Because they've got to learn all this. But I would go to landlords and go, in the industry, what terminology is most used? Because I think if I went to 9 out of 10 of the landlords that I know, they don't think they market their properties.
Yeah.
So many listings I've seen is landlord data,
Yeah.
age of building, square footage, and maybe distance to something. But the better listings, which I got from Matt, the Lumberjack Landlords course, is talk from the tenant's point of view. They don't care about the age of the building. They don't even think in square feet. They're thinking, what are the things in the area that might be attractive to my family? What are the aspects of the property, like that from a tenant's point of view? So good luck with that. I know web design is, I mean, if people have been to diontalk.com, they know I have no room to talk about what a website should look like.
No, I love it. I actually love these and the design, there's so much we're doing to improve it. I think there was a question on an app too, and that's been like so hotly discussed, debated, etc. But I think from that perspective, there's a lot we can do on the UI. Anything that's new, like if you go through the lease flows or the eviction services like Eviction Shield, etc., you'll see it's a much fresher, newer UI. But totally hear you on that. We want to eventually just slowly get everything onto that. Bingo, I have your answer, Dion. I just looked it up on AI. I asked AI what was the best term. I said, is it marketing, advertising, or listing? And they said listing. Create listing, list your property. Why listing is best. Industry standard, used widely by platforms like Zillow Realtor. Neutral and clear, fits both in-app and web page and web usage. List properties to look through listings, etc. So anyway, you have that, Dion. I will be bringing that up to the team.
So let me explain to people what just happened and why I'm using Hemlane. Okay. So I ran a CDL school for a little over a decade, and we would pay, I think the cheapest one was $34,000 to do a 6 month study where it queried instructors and it queried graduates and it queried current staff as to what words brought them through the door, what words resonated with them, why they chose the school, like an industry study to come up with marketing terminology. The cheapest one was $34,000. The tech is not replacing Dana. The tech is making Dana, the business owner, faster and smarter because you basically got a
Mhm.
6 month study with a question to an AI. When you're a landlord and you're dealing with a tenant turnover and you go from, I don't know which platforms are used in my market, so I'm going to try Zillow and I'm going to try apartments.com and I'm going to try, one of the ones, what are they, Thumper, Zumper or something, there's some other ones out there. Or as the business owner, do you take all of the time and energy it would take to put it on all the platforms and go to a thing like Henlane, put it all in once, hit one button, and it's on 15 different platforms? Like, it's not replacing us, it's empowering us. That was in the beginning of the video. I was going to think if you guys are really like the marketing thing, marketing slash leasing or, listing, just put both of them. There's plenty of room there on that left side of the button. Okay. Chester graduated from college 20 years ago today. Nice.
Nice.
Congratulations. Former property manager, magical bookkeeping. There you go. Yeah, magical bookkeeping. That will do it. My chat moved, so I'm trying to find where we were. Dennis says, Dana, what is one of the ways you try to ease landlords' minds when switching from a property manager to Hemblane? I imagine some people get a bit worried to move from property management to more software-based management.
Yeah. Um, it's software based and even remote management is not for everyone. And the last thing that we want to do with our sales team or our team is push you into something that you are super uncomfortable about, right? It should help provide 100% transparency. You can see everything. You shouldn't have any markups on repairs. It should increase your cash flow. It should help you sleep at night because you know everything at your rental is good and owner distributions will come in faster because we don't hold rent, so it goes directly to you. But we have seen situations where someone is they almost lack this confidence of being able to do it themselves. And by the way, they can do it themselves. It's a mindset game. So for us, instead of selling them of like, okay, here's how you're going to do it, and here's going to be the transition and sign up right here, it's much more of, well, let's walk you through a demo and just show you how it works. Here's what it would be like to be a landlord or be like Dion, a lazy landlord. Just go through it. Okay, now try a trial. Just add your property and maybe even just one tenant and see how that works. Maybe you have 5 units with one property manager and you can take one on. And I always say, don't jump in 5,000% and get yourself where your anxiety goes through the roof and stuff like that. It really has to come from you. It's not going to come from us that you want to take control and be able to increase that cash flow and have that transparency. And that may not be right for everyone at all. And so that's the decision that you will definitely want to and need to make is do you want to be managing these or not? Now, the best real estate investors will just set up an automated process in there, get on there, use most or all of the services and make it very passive. But the last thing I want is someone not sleeping at night because my goal is to say you sleep better at night with Hemlane. And so if you think just mentally having to manage your properties is not right for you and you're not in that mental state, or you have so much going on right now, you can't even take time for the onboarding, it's probably not the right time to do it. You really do want to set aside a couple of hours to cross your T's, dot your I's with our team, make sure everything's set up. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, I like the idea of not going 5,000% invested in it. When you manage a property, I mean, if you're the lumberjack landlord with 140 properties, you have to have a system, a team. He has an employee for listings and signings and that kind of stuff. But I have 18 units. And not all of them are on the Hemlane platform. So as I put them on the Hemlane platform, I didn't go to the tenant and say, here's the Hemlane platform. Rent has to be paid through here. Any contact with me has to go through the platform, right? I'm easing them into it. Here's how you report an issue. Some of them will probably still just text me until it's been a turnover to get that new person in there that doesn't get the cell phone number, gets the Hemlane information. But the email and everything is always included in the lease for me. Uh, Collecting rents, listing properties. I have tenants on the Hemlane platform who don't pay rent through Hemlane. I've got tenants who do. I've got tenants who just still Zelle, Venmo, Apple Pay, all the other ways that still existed before. So when you jump into it, maybe you jump in with the part that matters to you. Is it rent collection? So that you have those automated late fees so you don't have to be the person saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't believe your story of your Nana having an issue. You're going to have to pay a late fee." It's an automated system. Is it the next lease you want to sign? For me, you mentioned it, you want to sleep well at night. What I want to do is travel well. And so the way I manage my tenants really doesn't matter if I'm in Washington or Portugal or wherever I'm going to be next. What matters is if I have a tenant turnover, what aspects of that would be challenging for me to handle if I'm out of the country. And since I have the ability to step up the tier for that period of time, if it happens when I'm traveling, I can travel. That's the important part to me. Robert Finelli says, he just saw the title and said, yes, tech will replace me. I'm trying to make sure that AI replaces me because I have decided I'm not lazy enough and Robert needs to be lazier. I think AI is very good at helping us be lazy. Mailbox money, I think, helps us be the laziest. Money says, Dana, if Hemlane tracked my equipment model numbers, it could download exact instructions from the manufacturer and be more accurate. It's solving small business issues with Gen AI. Maybe also use uploaded pics and videos suggested from fixes, allowing human agents to concentrate harder on harder issues. There you go. Ivan?
I love that one because in additional instructions, you can add all your make, model, numbers, etc. But I think part of it is also just structured data, which we've spoken a lot about. There's certain things we're even structuring farther where we say this is something you can't forget to put in the system in order to do that. And what we're trying to do is make it flexible enough that you can get started right away. You don't have time to put in appliances or warranty. You can still get started, but make it where it suggests you do this stuff. An example of one is parking. Like parking is something that none of the listing websites ask for, but it's a number one question from tenants. Are there two parking spots? Are there one? Is there an additional fee for this? Can I park on the street? This and that. And so really being able to structure that so that AI can just quickly answer for you and you don't have to worry about it is definitely part of that plan and roadmap. So that's a great question.
Ivan says, I use Hemlane and I enjoy it. It's very simple and I can find I think it says $55 worth it.
Great.
Nice.
Thank you.
The Grumpy Contractor. Howdy. What is the answer to tenants that do not want to deal with tech? Is that part of the listing to make sure they do? So my answer to that was I don't force the tenants that I had already to deal with tech. The ones who deal with tech easily switched over. New tenants don't have a choice. They come in the door going, this is how this thing works, this is how this property is rented. How about your answer to that? How do you deal with tenants who don't want to deal with tech?
That's exactly it. Your current tenants who are in the property, just keep it, just to suggest use Hemlane. And if they don't, you might have to increase the rent slightly more because you're depositing rent checks or whatever, which is taking more time and more money. So you can encourage them to do it. But any future tenants, they will know the only way to get a property is to go on Zillow or Realtor.com or Apartments.com and see our listing there. When they do, they'll get an email to go ahead and book a showing, to schedule a tour or reach out. And then they're going to have to do the application and the background and credit check online. And so going through that entire process for them, they're going to have to do online. So they're going to very quickly realize that the future is that online process. And it's just as helpful for them as it is for you, because then everything is faster. They can do it at night. They don't have to bring the application back to your place. They can see what the status is. Have they submitted it? What's incomplete or not, or complete? They can see their credit score and their background check. So I think from that perspective, the future is everything going online. But you're right, you're going to have some people who's been there for 10 years and their mindset may be slightly different, and that's okay for now. I'd also say age is not a problem. Usually, if we see someone who is 90 years old, they usually have someone going out to the property with them and touring it with them. It's someone who's watching over them, or it's their kid. Their kid will fill it all out. Or we even have a 96-year-old, he pays rent on the platform. And it's really cute because he always calls support. You guys said you love support. Well, support loves this guy because he always calls on the first of the month and says, I paid the rent. I clicked the button in the system. It's so cute because he could just put it on auto pay. But I think he actually enjoys going into the system and pressing the button. And then, of course, it's already tracked to the landlord, and we don't have the heart to tell him that because we just love that he calls to let us know that he submitted it. So I think from that perspective, things are changing there. And, with access to phones and internet and stuff, and others in their community, it should be pretty simple for any future tenants to get onboarded through it.
Yeah, I like that. I've got tenants who won't automate anything with that mindset of I don't know if I'll have the money next month. And I'm like, "Ugh, you shouldn't be a tenant." Or that
They
explains why you're a
also,
tenant.
I also think that if someone has a mindset of not using technology, they're going to get left behind. It's almost you're doing them a disservice to not tell them, just try it. It's much easier for you. Once you start using some of these services, you don't go back because it's so convenient, and you want them to experience that too.
Yeah, I really like what you covered there. And I might use this on a tenant or three that I want on the platform that aren't there yet. Next year, there is going to be a rent increase because we have rent control in Washington now. All my tenants just got a rent increase this year.
Mhm.
Uh, Maybe that rent increase can be less if they'll go to the platform.
Yep.
But what I'll do is I'll say, here's the new rent. It's going to go up 5%. So if they're at $2,000, that's a $100 increase. I'll say rent's going up $100 because the rent. I'll use my binder strategy, actually get the tenants to agree to the $100, thinking kind of it was their idea. They're still getting a deal. I would make more if they moved out. And then I'll say, but there's a $20 a month discount if you use the platform. So the rent increase is there if they don't want to use the tech. The
Yep.
discount is there if they want to use the tech. So I'm not forcing them. I'm rewarding them for it. Yeah.
And that's what we recommend, because you can't say it's going to cost more than the rent increase if you don't use the tech. You could get sued in certain places for that. So please don't do that. Don't say like your rent increase is this if you use the software, or your rent increase is this if you don't use the software. What you really do need to do is say, here's the rent increase amount. That's set. But I'll give you a discount on that if you use the tech because of the time it saves from rent collection and stuff like that. And keep in mind, this is really, really important for all of you listening. Most property management softwares will charge tenants it's usually $2 plus to pay rent online. So if you're a property manager and you use Appfolio or Renfine, or I'm pretty sure Doorloop does it too, they will charge you $2, the tenant $2 every time they pay rent. We don't do that. The tenant, it's free for them to do the transaction. So it's really just more convenient for them. So they have more time to be with their family or to work or do whatever they love doing.
I like that. I think I avoid every rent payment collection service that has a fee if possible. I have a water company that I pay that has a fee no matter how you pay it,
Mhm.
that service fee to collect the money. Dennis asks, Dana, can you explain why an out-of-state investor should choose Hemlane as their property management software service?
Yeah. So one, the big thing is transparency, and then two, we can work within your system. And so if you don't have processes and people in place, you can rely on us saying, here's a handyman, here's a plumber, here's a general contractor, et cetera, in the area. And then also you use self-guided tours, or we can connect you with a local agent who's not a Hemlane employee. They're a local licensed agent to show your property. And I don't think any other system does that. Any other software is collaborative like that, where you can go ahead and add your own people, use our folks, all of that. And so what we're trying to do is make it where you're still in control, but we're there to support and guide you. The other thing is just the transparency with it. Photos uploaded when tenants put in repair requests, making sure that you really feel like you have the right folks in your place. Even if you use our self-guided tours, we're still going to recommend you do a Zoom call with the tenants afterwards. If you can't meet in person, do some sort of Zoom call with them once their application has gotten to a certain point to get to know them. Why are you moving out of this place? The more you talk to them, and we'll do the past landlord reference checks if you're using our leasing services. The more we learn from their last landlord on things and just kind of pause and ask a lot of questions, the more you get, oh yeah, they put in 55 maintenance requests every month. Whatever it is, the more you will learn as you talk to them. And so obviously everything has to be objective and follow fair housing. We do that on our end. On your end, you'll want to do the same. But I do think that if you are remote, the biggest thing I've learned is anxiety kicks in when you don't feel like you have an update. Like if you don't physically see inspection photos of the property, or you don't talk to the tenants and the tenants move in, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I just handed the keys over to someone. Are they going to be a good tenant? All of that stuff goes through your head. And so I do think that transparency and being able to fit into what process and how involved do you want to be is definitely something that we're doing, and we continue to look to do even more.
So we have Dana for about another 10 minutes. So I want to get through as many of these questions as I can. And if you're in the course today at 6 p.m. Pacific, Derek, that ADU guy, is joining us in the course call.
Cool.
Mark asks if the book will be ready by ORAT next year, 50/50. Grumpy Contractor asks if I'm going to do the audiobook or if I'm going to have Matt do it. I don't know if Matt would do it. We'll see. A feature request from Money, a suggestion, is there a way to list local laws on Hemlane for where you're at? So is that something you could look into?
Yeah, that's great. We do have the state specific ones under the resources tab, and we're trying to put some county ones in there as well because the lease agreements, at least for Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, Cooks County, and New York are county specific. But definitely I can look into that.
The Yoder asks Dana, if I switch to Hemlane, can I upload my lease agreement? I'm in New York State.
Yeah, I love that because New York State is a crazy one. We've gone through lawyers for our lease templates. We highly recommend, based on New York, that there might be specifications in your property that you definitely need something else. You can upload your lease agreement, and then you can do e-sign directly in app, so you don't have to go outside of the app and give the tenants your email address or anything like that. It can all be within the app.
Joshua M., I might go into this later with more detail. Says I have $84,000 saved for first rental. I'll buy in 1 to 2 years in Missouri. Right now, I have that amount sitting in my bank, earning a dollar a month. Must be Bank of America. Thinking of moving funds to index fund. Thoughts? The quick ninja version. I like to use the region beta paradox. I want my mind bothered by the fact that that money is not making me money, so that I'm motivated to put it to work in the next property.
Mhm.
In the meantime, what about an online bank that pays 4% interest instead of an index fund where it's tied up and can be gone away? Open up a Robinhood account, put the money in the Robinhood app. You get 4.5% interest for 60 days, and then 4% interest the rest of the year. There's a lot of options for that, but I don't know if I would do an index fund. Money has one more question. When I have Hemlane agents communicate to tenant on my behalf, it's not clear whether the workflow steps or status. Sorry for all these questions. I'm a techie for Seattle. So is there a way to get the workflow for a communication with the tenant on Hemlane's side?
Yeah, so if you're using our leasing package or tenant placement package, which is our leasing assistants themselves, all of their messages with the tenants should be under prospective tenants and logged. So if they have a call, they'll say, "Hey, thanks for that call. Just to reiterate what we mentioned, you've got two pets and pet rent's going to be $50, per month additional or whatever it is. Or you have an emotional support animal, there's no obviously pet rent for that." Our team will do that. If you use a local agent, so a brokerage who uses Hemlane, we train them on how to use Hemlane. We tell them to go through prospective tenants and log stuff. But if they're not our employee, we can't 100% ensure that everything's logged in there. We're definitely working through that. But hopefully we'll be able to replace a lot of their own work with AI, just outreaches to help as well.
So a quick plug. Remember, if you're going to switch to the Hemlane platform like Julie, use the code Dion Talk to get 20% off that first year. Hardick asks, uh, using Hemlane, loving it. What are the odds of a Hemlane app in the future?
Oh my gosh, it is one of the biggest questions. So here's the thing. I actually think it's closer in the future than you'd think. There's a reason we haven't done it. And our engineering team is here in San Francisco. I'm in our San Francisco office right now. There are some engineers who are very anti-apps. And it's almost this mindset on it. Now, the mobile experience, you don't get the notification pop up. So it's always a text message and you have to click into it. And so there's a lot of additional things that we've spoken about to say, hey, there's a lot of people who do still want an app and those notifications. So we'll be working on that. But there's one thing, Dion, we're going to work on before that. Guess what that is? Like a huge project. There's like 5,000 projects we're working on the user experience, like just as showing enhancements and stuff like that. But guess what the biggest one is that we're going to work on before the app?
Well, you did the eviction protection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's inspections and app, and we're looking at AI that can do it. So essentially, if you just take a video of it, the AI will put all the photos into an inspection report and note there's a hole in the wall there, there's a dent here,
So it's like move in, move out.
and then it compares the two. So you do the same video thing for the move out, and then it compares the two and says, this is what the condition of move in is, this is what move out is. So we're looking at some AI and kind of doing some big things with that. But then after that, definitely the next big thing would be an app. If you think of the biggest things that we have on the roadmap.
So Ivan asks a question that I think we should make a completely standalone video on. So
Okay.
our next video together, what are some things you wish all property managers knew?
Oh my gosh, I could talk
Yes,
for
that's
hours.
why that's going to be a
Yeah,
standalone video. Yep.
I could talk forever on that one.
Uh, thanks, that JFC. Joshua, you could look into CDs at your bank. There you go. Joshua M. A tangent question for Dana. Can folks invest in Hemlane's startup? It's such a nice platform with wonderful potential.
Well, thank you. That's an honor. Every single round we've done with investors, we've allocated a small amount, and a lot of times the investors want to take the whole round, so they don't want other folks in it. Well, we've always negotiated as part of the terms with investors is that we have a small amount allocated to Hemling customers. And we've done that. It's not about the quantity of money, it's more of the, hey, our success is your success. You're using Hemlane, and so you should be part of that success. So we do that. We don't have a round of funding in the next 12 months. So from a capital perspective, we won't be looking to raise for actually a bit of time here. And so, we're in a great cash position. We're in a great team position. Now it's really execution mode of adding more features, automating you out of more of the day to day, and then providing even just better functionality and usability. But would love to chat with anyone who is a customer and interested in that.
And so this would be a guess. Would you email clients when those times happen, or how do you get on an email list for that in case it comes up?
Yeah, great question. It's interesting because a lot of real estate investors, I don't think even know about like the startup world. Typically, it's a call that I have with the person, always kind of walking them through the process of how it works and getting to know the call of first.
Looks like Zoom is finally failing us.
Oh, but I'm back.
We're
Am
back
I
now.
back?
Yep.
I thought there was like some sort of lag there, so apologies about that.
That's okay. Are you on a PC or a Mac?
A Mac. Are you
Oh,
going to play my Mac?
no, I'm on a Mac too. My PC,
Okay.
Zoom lasts 7 minutes and then it screws up every time.
Okay.
And it's a gaming computer. Uh, Andres asks if there's any course available to learn how to use the Hemlane platform for a new owner.
Great question. You should just be able to reach out to your account executive and get all of that set up, personalized. But from a course perspective, we have videos online, although we changed the user experience more like for the better. So a lot of those videos are outdated. The other thing is, and Dion, you probably relate to this. I always bring up the Apple phone because I used to work at Apple a long time ago. It was over 15 years ago. But I remember someone asked, this was really early days of Hemlane, and they asked for an instruction manual of how to use it. And I went back to our designer and I said, someone just asked for a user manual. And then our designer responded, well, that means we haven't built a user-friendly product because you shouldn't need a manual. Just like an Apple phone, it teaches you and walks you through the steps. And so that's where I actually love customer feedback. If something's not clear or you don't know what to do next, then it's like, okay, let us know what was confusing because we need to fix that for you so you don't need a user manual. So hopefully the course is doing it yourself. However, we do have videos online.
The reference I always use when it comes to the iPhone, and I probably heard somebody like Musk or somebody like that say this, is when Hemlane came out, uh, it is not the finished product. Just like this is not an iPhone, this is an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Like there's been all of these versions along the
Yeah.
way, improved based on customer experience and tech evolution. So Dennis says, how, and this might be one of the last couple of questions for you. How do self-guided tours work when you don't have a local agent? Does Hemlane help with getting a specific lock on the front door, or do we need coordinates to coordinate that with a specific lock?
Oh my gosh, I love that question. I love self-guided tours because we can control it. With an agent, we can't control how quickly they pick up the phone. We can't control their response time. These are local agents who sleep at night. But if it's our self-guided tours, it's all Hemlane employees who are the ones responding, trained on fair housing. They're the leasing assistants they're going through. So first of all, you can choose your own handyman or have us have a handyman install the lock on the door. We always recommend two sets of keys. So one in the lockbox, one that you keep separately for the property. And then we change the codes every single time. So if you have a vendor go in, we'll change the code afterwards. Every tenant showing, once they get there, they type in the serial. We'll provide them with the code. And then after every showing, we actually ask for the tenant to take photos showing the lockup of everything, including the lockbox. So we'll go through all of that. It's a digital lockbox that we control remotely. So we'll go through all of that process for you. So you won't need a local agent for it.
And you said you had about an hour. How are we looking there?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. If people have questions, they can get a hold of you at Dana, Dana at hemlane.com. And we'll have you back again soon. We'll coordinate that offline.
Perfect. I would love that. This was so much fun. And thank you everyone for all of the great questions on property management. And I like the question that we'll answer next time.
Yep, I wrote it down, so I'll remember. If I don't, please remind me.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. Bye, Dana.
Bye.
And video's not going away, so don't everybody leave. Okay, so here we are. Now I can say all of the things that get me sued. Actually, that's what I say in the course when we stop recording. Curtis, when looking at a distance, how does Hemlane highest level of leasing agent compare to a traditional property management company? This is a good question. Even investing locally, this is why I like Hemlane compared to having a property manager. The property management company makes the bulk of their money. Almost half of it could come from tenant turnover. So even a property manager that says, "Oh, we don't want the extra work," if they get a half a month's rent or a full month's rent, they will subconsciously and just in like inject it into the conversation, encourage tenants to leave or not encourage them to stay as much. Just give them the rent increase without any kind of other, justification, showing comps or showing what Section 8's doing or anything like that. With Hemlane, you're hiring somebody to do a task that gets a fee for the task. You are the one managing it on the platform, encouraging lease renewals, can be done through emails. You just need that leasing agent for the first time if you're not in the area. The Yoder, I was reading up on your platform. Do you send out rental reminders? She talked about that at the very beginning of the video, right after the intro, Yoder. There are rent reminders that are automated, late fees that are automated. And in the beginning, I think I said it's because it's based on a system, not your emotions, when it's late fees like that. Chubbs, hey Dion, just found your videos and love the content, but also the mindset in the binder method when there are one-off properties on Zillow that are way below the market rent. How do you deal with it? It's actually pretty easy to deal with that. I just did a binder creation with Jason, who is in witness protection. Uh, and we had some one-offs on his screen. So a lot of times people get confused whenever it comes to math and they talk about income and rents and this, they talk average or median, right? You're trying to show the average rent. Well, there's going to be one for 5,000, most are 2,000, one's for 1,300, right? Well, what's that average? A little above 2,000. Then they'll talk median. They'll say outliers have less of an impact on median, and neither one of those tell us what we need. The mode, MODE, the most commonly appearing number is the ones you want to use. So when you pull up your area, you're going to see the $2,000 ones, three or four of them. You're going to see the $1,300 one. You're going to see the $3,000 one. I wouldn't list the $3,000 one. The tenant will see that and know that you didn't use the outliers. If you have that $1,300 one when there's a bunch of 2,000s, mention it. This one is probably low income or doesn't allow pets like I do or something. And if you qualify for this one, I encourage you go check it out. So that's during the binder conversation. When it does come into play with those super low rent listings, is in Thurston County, Washington, there is a property management company that is run by mental midgets, Home something. I don't know the whole name of the company, but they list their properties at 50% of market value. So if a two-bedroom rents for 2,000, they'll have it at 1,000. If a three-bedroom is 2,700, they'll have it at half of that. The investors in Thurston County know that anytime those tards put up a property, you just don't list one. You wait for it to go away because the owner of that property is losing money because their property management team doesn't know how to do a rent study. And then you list it once it's gone. So yeah, it can impact you, but during the binder strategy, I don't screenshot the outliers. I mention them. I say there are some probably lower ones that you qualify for low income. And if you qualify low income, you should probably move there. There are some that are much more expensive too, but I don't list those in the binder because then it seems like you're trying to uh, show it's much higher than the actual mode is. When I did the one with Jason, I think in his area there were several for 950. There was one in the 700s and there was some in the 1100s. I think I suggested his binder the goal of getting closer to 900, even though there was so many at 950. Curtis, the leasing agent is like 695 or $700 or something. It's a flat fee. Yep. Dennis says, yeah, 700. Julie, do you recommend a special account to just hold tenant deposits? Yes, in Washington, it's a requirement. So you got to know your state's laws. They have to be held in a separate account that you don't run through your personal business through. Don't know that it's ever become an issue, but do things legally because prison is the ultimate house hack. Not my chosen form of retirement. Julie, thanks for saying you had both of us experiencing everything. I love it when Dana's on. She's got a whole bunch of information I don't have access to. Andres, does Hemlane share my landlord info with any entity? I'll have to ask her that with an email or a text. And I haven't gotten an increase in robocalls since I started using them. Please talk about the services costs. Uh, it has a flat fee to have an account and then another fee per unit that you add. Uh, I don't have it memorized. It's all listed right on their website. So just hemlane.com has it all listed there. No bad mojo. Do you make a database for clients with their permission, sort of like a Yelp for tenants? They have, I don't know about a database for clients, but Hemlane has a database of local contractors for most areas. The more rural you are, the less likely it can happen, but um, they exist in my market. Oculus, I have a new tenant who asked if I would be willing to partner on buying blinds for the property. Not sure it will get more rent, but might be retention, satisfaction things. Thoughts? How long have the tenants been there? What type of blinds do you have? If you have a tenant willing to pay for part of an expense, I'd probably consider it. Happy tenants don't leave. Happy tenants don't trash the property. I put blinds in all of mine. I like the thick, I think they're called levelower, but the horizontal, not vertical. I don't like. I have some with the hanging things, but I don't like them. The sideways ones, uh, they're not super cheap. I don't like the metal ones. Those don't last very long. If a tenant's willing to share the cost, I probably would. I might just pay for it myself, depending on where their rent's at, how long they've been there. And if they're asking to replace blinds that they've destroyed, if they've blinds are kind of like carpet. I'd have to, you know, Google it, but what is the average life expectancy of carpet? I think it's like 7 years. After 7 years, you can't charge tenants for damage to carpets. Blinds might be the same. So if they've been there a while and they want to help pay for new blinds, I'd probably do it. If they've been there a long time and you know their situation and you're comfortable with it, I might just replace them myself. Tenant placement, there we go. Duplex. Yeah, Ivan, we will definitely do that. She comes on about every 3 weeks. That would be a great feature inspection. Tried Z Inspector and didn't find it user friendly. There you go. Just landed in Dallas, Fort Worth. Hey, Ryan, howdy. Thanks. Okay, good. That's all. Howdy. Looks like I just missed the chat with Dana. Have you used Turbo Tenant and how does it compare to Hemlane? By the way, I am Indian. I have not used Turbo Tenant. I haven't used any other platforms. I was on Cozy for listing properties. They were bought by apartments.com, and I think I listed once or twice on Zillow, and then I found Hemlane, and then all my new listings since then have been on Hemlane. There's some aspect of larger platforms where Matt the Lumberjack Landlord with 140 units wants what he calls a back end. All of the info, I don't use it for any of the data for my taxes. All of that goes through my spreadsheet. Everything that I've done on Hemlane has been just uh, I want to say ease of use. I've got several friends where I've sat down and helped list their properties to just put my brother's property out through the platform. Because imagine having to do the study in your area, or how would you do the study in your area? What listing platform gets the most attention? And I don't mean like Hemlane or Stessa or what your platform's using. I mean like, is it Zillow? Is it apartments.com? Is it Craigslist? Is it Facebook Marketplace? Is it Trulia? Is it Zumper? Instead of just saying, hey, let me put the information out once, puts it on several of them, and you have the most likelihood to be noticed. And then after you've listed a property through them, it'll tell you these 7 inquiries came from Zillow, this one came from apartments. Okay, Zillow gets more attention in my market. No bad mojo. In the case of renting to flip phone users, can you use Hemlane for them to make it more uniform through your portfolio? Well, they have to have access to the interwebs. So they can have a flip phone, but do they have a computer? My brother has a smartphone, no computer in his house, which was fun teaching him how to print. Tesla has a lot of patience. Thank you, Money. Thank you, Duplex Dave. I go through a lot of blinds. I seem to be damaged by tenant turns. Do you have a specific brand model? The ones at Lowe's, I generally prefer Lowe's to the ones at Home Depot. I've installed both. The ones from Lowe's seem to be easier, though they're not that difficult. Uh, I think it's Levelor, faux white plastic, um, pull down, no strings to pull or uh, break. JMC. Can you do a loan to value loan and down payments? How long would you go for a down payment? It all depends on interest rate, accepted home price, income, cash flow from rents. Some markets only cash flow if you do a bigger down payment. So pick your market and start going further out from the work hub. Look for where remote workers live because they've pushed up rents, but not prices because they don't want to buy. What if they get called back to the office? And so you got to go out until you find this rent to price equilibrium. In some markets, it doesn't exist. In Washington State, I've never seen a single family house that would cash flow. Not in any of the markets I've looked at, but small multifamily do. A house with an ADU would. So are you looking at the right asset class? How, will you shift your market out? And then I think if I was actively hunting to add to my portfolio and I didn't find any deals in 6 months, at the 6 month point, I would make a 6 month criteria. So if I've gone a year of actively hunting and didn't find any, I might consider a new market. I was close to doing that in 2023. I searched for several months, expanded my market out to find where the remote workers were, and then I found several deals. But I was telling myself and everybody in several videos, if I don't find it within 6 months of changing to these new markets, I'm probably going to call Millennial Mike, use his systems, and start investing in Gary, Indiana. Didn't end up having to do it, but it was a chance. And I don't think I would ever want to do a bigger down payment to cash flow because what you get then is cash flow, extremely small yield. You're in the school group, and very few use Hemlane. A lot of people use Stessa. Yeah, it's been around longer. It's a bigger platform. It doesn't do what I want. It doesn't have that leasing agent that will go and sign when I'm in another country. Maybe people don't want to travel. Maybe they don't think they'll reach financial freedom and be able to travel. So at some point in the future, they're going to have to make this big jump from one of those platforms to Hemlane so they can. Angel R, howdy. Happy to see the beard back. Don is back. Nice. Don Juan DeMarco. JMC, when would you consider investing in other markets? There you go. I just talked about that. When you stabilized at a certain phase or just stay in boots on the ground market that you know. So I would stay in my market until I couldn't find a deal for a long period of time and couldn't find an asset class in that market that would cash flow. At least 6 months of active searching, add another 6 months as the here's when it will end by. You love the recent podcast about the binder, the one I did with Jason. That was cool. It was fun to make. Another great Q&A. Thank you. Cool. I think we're about caught up on questions. If you're in the Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person course, remember Derek, that ADU guy, is joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. The link to the Zoom is in the course chat. So in the course chat, there's the link to the Zoom. Hope to see you there. Bring your ADU questions, your city permit questions. He is also into open relationship questions. Somebody hit him with some of those. Vatsal, when him, why is this so? Screen is, there we go. What Hemlane plan are you on when you need a leasing agent? Do you only have to upgrade for that 1 month? Yes, you just pay a fee for the leasing agent. So that I'm in the minimum. I think I collect some rents. I list the properties. I dispatch my own handyman because I have that in place already. So I haven't used that stepped up tier where you can display when you can dispatch handyman. Haven't had to use that one. Um, and I haven't had to use the leasing agent thing yet. I just know I can travel and use it if I had to. That's the main reason I'm on the platform. So lowest tier doesn't cost very much. And then Dennis with WTF. So all travel is the same. Curtis, question. I know you normally have your tenants text you, but when you travel, do you text them and tell them to message through an app so Hemlane can support? I travel, I use AT&T, I have international travel, so it's going to cost me $10 a day with a maximum of 10 days per the month, and I have full access to everything, all my emails, all my, I've never found a place remote enough to not have access to emails and texts. So I haven't had to do anything like that. Uh, if I was going to tell a tenant, hey, we need to use WhatsApp because I'm traveling, I'd do it face to face because everything going to WhatsApp is very scammy, in my opinion. So, nope, I haven't had to do that. Cool. We're all caught up. I think we'll wrap up there for the night. Uh, Trying to think if there's anything coming up. The Lumberjack Landlords Live this week will be on his channel. On the 5th of June, he's got the debate coming up on the Raging Tomato. I might be in the comments. I will not be in the debate. I do not need to surround myself with a bunch of liberal wackos. There are liberals who aren't wackos, but the ones I saw on that channel were wackos. I wouldn't want to surround myself with right-wing wackos either. Until my next video, Thursday or Saturday, have a week full of amazing, and I will see you in the course.